The Georgia State Election Board has reconvened this morning after holding its first meeting since the FBI search and seizure of 2020 election ballots. This comes as officials in Fulton County say the Justice Department made, quote, serious omissions and misled the judge who approved that search warrant. In a court filing, officials say the FBI's application, quote, does nothing more than describe the types of human errors that its own sources confirm occur in almost every election without any intentional wrongdoing whatsoever. With us now is Damon Hewitt. He is the president and executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, and he's been fighting to get those ballots back. Good morning to you. So this filing claims that the Justice Department made these serious omissions in the application the FBI filed to obtain a search warrant. What are those omissions?
Well, it seems like this affidavit was based upon the same type of baseless allegations, the conjecture, the speculation, the kind of things that have been debunked time and time again. You know, we at the Lawyers Committee represented groups in about 15 actions after the 2020 election and a few days and weeks after, where we beat back these efforts to try to overturn legitimate election results based upon these allegations of fraud. There's really no evidence that we're aware of any fraud. So it seems like a recycle and a retread.
So if this is just a recycle of claims that have been debunked, why do you think the magistrate judge signed off on it?
Well, you know, we're not in magistrate's chair, but what Fulton County seems to be alleging is that somehow this magistrate has been misled. And so when you take a look at the affidavit on its face, it's short on specifics, quite frankly. It's big on hyperbole from what we can see. And so it's difficult to understand exactly why. But look, here's the thing. We're not here necessarily to second guess the magistrate. What we're more concerned about is DOJ and FBI's motivations, given that DOJ has sued 24 states and the District of Columbia seeking access to voter rolls. It seems like a way to circumvent that civil process and try to use its criminal investigatory authority to try to get the same information for what purposes we don't know.
A federal judge will hold a hearing next week on the county's request that those materials be returned. What is your biggest concern when it comes to the handling of those materials?
Our biggest concern is that information that includes addresses, social security numbers, even information about how individual people voted. It's almost like is in this information. It's almost as if DOJ is stepping into the voting booth with people and taking notes on everything about them after the fact. Nobody wants that. Frankly, nobody trusts that, Trump administration or not, but especially with this administration. That's why our emergency petition has requested the return of the data, but also a protective provision, a protective order to make sure the data can't be used for all kinds of other purposes of this administration. Immigration enforcement, voter purges, calling into question voter eligibility, what have you.
Are you concerned all of this could have a chilling effect on voters come the midterms?
We are very concerned, you know, whether it be deployment of ICE and CBP in people's communities, whether it be these rampant efforts to suppress the vote before Election Day or efforts to challenge votes after Election Day, is designed, frankly, to frustrate people, to make it less likely that they will cast a ballot, and certainly less likely that their ballots will be counted after they are cast. So we're very much worried. We saw that in 2024. We may see it again.
When you say rampant efforts to suppress the vote before, what do you mean specifically by that?
Well, we mean a combination of state action and private activity. You know, voter suppression bills that have swept all over the country, efforts by political parties, including the RNC, to purge voters even close to the election day, federal election day, which is prohibited by federal law. These kind of efforts, which we believe are coordinated, are all designed to ensure that fewer people vote, or at least fewer people of a certain kind vote, so that certain candidates can win.
Damon Hewitt, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you coming on to share your perspective.